working out the bugs here.
You know, if we were in Mission Impossible, you would be the guy that I'd want in the van, Brian. You know, if we were breaking into the vault, but now I'm pretty sure Tom Cruise would be busted. Just
poor guy. He doesn't stand a chance, does he?
Oh, no.
All right. 3, 2, 1.
And a half.
Okay, we're live. Go ahead, Matt.
Welcome to our May 7th board meeting. Good to have you all here, our administrative team, board, as well as families. We thank you for joining us in this time. We're going to go ahead and get started, and we're going to start with our pledges as we typically do. So Kelly's going to put the American flag up on the screen, and then we'll do the pledge to the American flag, and then she will follow that up with the Christian flag as well. So if you'll join us in this time. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I pledge allegiance to the Christian flag and to the Savior for whose kingdom it stands, one Savior, crucified, risen, and coming again with life and liberty for all who believe. Okay, we're going to go ahead and turn it over to Bay Maurer for our devotion for this evening. So Bay, take it away.
All right, thanks, Matt. Appreciate it. So happy to see everybody here, figuratively, kind of, through the screen and technology. At some point in the future, you know, we're certainly praying to be in one room together again, and that may very well be the case. But until then, you know, again, hands off to Brian and company and all of us who have had to navigate through what it is technology today. But it's pretty common at this point, I think, for the most of us. You know what? I think about it a little bit, and quarantine and going through quarantine and coronavirus seems like it's lasted forever, right? I don't know about you, but it seems like to me it's lasted for an eternity. It's just continued to go on and on and on. And I look back and I had to think, okay, so when did this really happen? Even though I haven't had a haircut in a couple months, you know, it's starting to, just for everybody, it's getting a little shaggy. But I had to look back in March 16th. You know, Matt wasn't even in the country, so he got to miss that part of it, you know, as we started into this. But about 52 days ago is when the city of Springfield and Mayor Ken McClure declared a civil emergency and really closing all gatherings of 50 people or more. So when I look at 52 days ago, it's shocking, and I start to think, you know, why does it feel like it's been forever? You know, as we've gone through quarantine, you know, there's just so many things that have been taken away. And you know, I, for one, I struggled with it for sure, and maybe you did too. And you know, part of the reason is I don't really like being told what to do. You know, I'm a team player, but usually navigating through negotiating together and not just being dictated to is really how I respond. And then I'm suddenly told that you can't go to church anymore, and I love going to church and worship, as a lot of you probably do. And even on Wednesday nights, we couldn't go to Wednesday night prayer meetings. That all got taken away, and you know, and then we couldn't go down to eat. We couldn't go out to eat, which seems like a really strange oddity. Like, okay, well, you're still going to eat. Yes, we're still going to eat. In fact, I think all of our grills outdoors and on the patio have been used more probably in the last 52 days than they may have been used in the previous 6 months or even a year, right? We're finding lots and lots of ways to come up with food, but there is something to be said when you can get together and just sit down in a restaurant and enjoy a meal and, you know, kick back with family and friends, and it's enjoyable, right? These are the things that were normal back then that I got used to, and now we're kind of slowly getting out there. But as I think back to it, you know, I also, you know, sports, right? So Coach Crane, sports stopped, everything ended, right? So much for March Madness. College basketball was just disappeared. I know that broke Todd's heart, you know, just right there. We can't see hoops anymore. We had no idea. who's the champion of anything. But closer to Matt Searson and I is baseball hasn't even gotten started. And it's really, when opening day got here, nothing happened. And so I really went through a period of just like, why is this whole world seems to have stopped on us? The normal that we knew disappeared, and it's where will it come back? I'm a very social individual. If you're into Enneagrams, I'm one of those 7 people that's really out there. I'm looking for a party. I'm looking for somebody to talk to. And so this brings it in a real life to say that you can't do that. You might be able to talk to somebody on the computer, but you can't go out and shake hands or hug anymore. And if I'm a hugger, and so you got to watch out once we get through all this, just saying. But whatever life used to be is really changed. More than once I found myself face down in prayer, asking God, as the personality that I am, God, what am I supposed to do in this time? God, what am I supposed to do with this? Because I'm struggling with just who I am, and I am praying, literally in my closet, just saying, God, strengthen me through this time and help me to guide my family through this difficult, but it's certainly necessary time. It's a global pandemic. We all want to do our part. And I'm feeling just like, what do I do to help? I'm one, and I can't do the things that I want to do to even be able to help, right? I'm not a healthcare worker. I'm not a physician like Kendra. That's not my thing. That's not what I can't help in that area of expertise. And so maybe more than one of us have asked at one time or the other, when will life return to, quote, normal? Right? I don't know. And I start to think about that a little bit. And one of the things about not being able to go to church and having church online is you could really consume like 6 different services in one day if you want to. Right? You got a lot of inbound different messages and different pastors. And this one of my favorites is Stephen Furtick, and he's going through a series about normal, and that's kind of where this planted in my mind what normal really is. It just hit me the other day, and when we saw normal is really changing the way that we were and the way that we are. We used to be able to go out to eat where we wanted, and we used to be able to go to church on Sunday, and Wednesday was normal. Those things were normal, and the reality is they'll return again, soon, we hope. Some of those. There's no really graduations this year. I know Matt's working on our summer graduations for those, but I drive, even now you drive around town, and I saw congratulations 2020 grad, and you kind of look at that car, somebody put on the window pane on it, and congratulations, and you're like, oh, it's one of them. They didn't get to walk, I'm sorry, right? And then you see these prom pictures, and even I don't know if any of you, I've found myself watching John Krasinski and Some Good News on YouTube, right? And he hosted a national prom. Fantastic. And here are all these kids, these poor kids in dresses and tuxes, and they're like, dancing in their living room. And on that note, it could be, well, you're not dancing with the guy or girl you wanted to take that, but maybe you're taking that one last dance with your daughter and dad, before they head off to school, right? So there's some good and bad when you kind of look through some of those, but it kind of makes you think and consume. There's some good that goes with it. When I look at those 52 days, I'm reminded of what normal was, back in the Bible. I'm reminded of how Moses led the Israelites out of Egypt, right? So think about what the Israelites were up against, right? Their normal, as it was, to be slaves. Their normal was to be treated as commodities, and they went to work and they didn't get paid. They just had to work. They got some food, they might have a shelter, and that was nice, but they really went to work. They got whipped. They went home. They got to eat. That was their normal, day in, day out, as they saw it for 400 years. They cried out to the Lord for 400 years in captivity, saying, God, help us, release us from this captivity and bondage, Lord. This is our normal today, but God, you're here with us, right? We want to hear you. We want to see you. And then finally, God comes and God creates miracle after miracle in Moses, and he shows up and they start to lead the people out of Egypt. And they were excited at first. They were thrilled. They were like, the Lord is reaching out and he's talking to us and he hears us and he's releasing us from bondage of the life that we have and being slaves in Egypt. We're successful. God heard us. He's leaving us. You know, it's amazing. And when I think about it, the Bible's full of stories that were not, quote, normal. When we look at it, yeah, I mean, it's not normal, you know, for a 13-year-old boy that was, you know, fighting a 9-foot giant warrior with a sling and a rock. That's not normal. It's not normal surviving a burning furnace, you know, and being able to walk out, right? Jumping into a pit with a lion to kill a lion is not normal, but there was Benaiah jumping into a pit and doing some of that. So we can look and reference all of these stories that were not normal. And we have to think that God has a message in his word of what normal might have been, and the comfort level that we were at is probably not where God is really directing us to get to in the future. We can see that happen and happen and happen again. If I look at this in my own perspective, I mean, I for one have had to confront some fears and some worries about what life will be like in the future. And I mean, where's the money going to come from? And how can I continue to have a cheerful attitude and when I'm trying to grow a business and the economy shut down and you know, we're 24/7 family time all the time, full speed ahead. Love it. Sometimes you need a little breath, right? Sometimes. Love it. Lisa, you're nodding. I mean, I know you're loving the family time, but a little bit. Like, I just need to go to the bathroom, people. It's pretty cut and dry. Just a little taking a step back, you know? And what it's done, though, for me is to take me out of my own personal complaint department and to really just give up. And you hear that and you think, give up? What are you giving up? No, I'm not giving up on just daily life. What I'm saying is I'm giving it all up to him. Is I'm giving it all out of my life and what I think normal is, and what normal was. And I realized that the control of what I thought I had control of in my life was too much focused on where I am and what I can control, and not enough focus on me raising my hands to him and just saying, Lord, take over where I'm at. Right? So I looked at in James 1, verses 5 through 8, it says, if you don't know what you're doing, pray to the Father. He loves to help. I think that's fantastic. He loves to help. You'll get his help and won't be condescended when you ask for it. Ask boldly and believingly without a second thought. I mean, that's a hard one because sometimes I have my own second thoughts, right? But in the Bible, it says without a second thought, just ask boldly, right? And so people who worry their prayers are like wind-whipped waves. Don't think like you're going to get anything from the master that way. Adrift at sea, keeping all your options open. I mean, I read that and I sat down and I had to think for a minute and say, God, are you sure? Like, I'm questioning God. He's God. Like, I'm sitting here saying, okay, all right. God, I don't know what I'm doing. I need your help. Please reach me right now, God. And as I continue to lay down what those thoughts are, and as I continue at the altar, and I continue to ask for help, and I continue to just open up and receive, it's amazing how that clarity starts to come back, and that peace starts to come around. As time passes and a new normal sets in, I'm really thankful the Lord is taking away that focus from what I had and the control of everything, because I don't have the answers, all the answers for my kids. I don't know, but I do know that I ask for help from the Lord, and he opens my eyes to see, and it helps me, just one miracle after the other. I focus on things here on earth they were my normal, but now they're not. And I think that as a board, where we're really trying to look at and we're really trying to focus on is there's some decisions that we have to make during this time. And we're asking, Lord, we're asking for help. We're opening up our eyes and our ears and our mind and saying, God, we are asking boldly for you to go before us and for you to go before our families and to help us give us direction that would be the steps that you want us to take, whether it's financially or curriculum or growth or direction or whatever it is, our teachers and all the decisions that have to come up with this school to continue that we can lead these kids with that Christ-like character as parents, as board members, as just friends and human beings, right? That we really, really focus on that. One of the things that I wanted to really, take a moment to think about is some of the things that we've seen that I, as one, and some of us have looked and thought things have been taken away. But if we look at it through the eyes of God, a lot has been given. For example, I look at this during Easter. So we went through Easter and went through all this, and this is just one sample point. But I look at Life Church Online, and during Easter, 10 million, just one church group, 34 locations, 10 million unique devices watched the Life Church Online service. 10 million devices. Over 25,000 new churches have signed up for online materials to grow in the kingdom. 25,000 new churches. Basically people are trying to church in a home now, right? There's been a 30% increase in Bible verses being shared and over 14.1 million shared Bible verses in just Easter week. That's all over the world. That is amazing. You think about that and what God is doing during this time of a pandemic. And when we were reaching back at what normal was, he's using this time and the resources and the capability that are here on earth for that to continue to grow and expand the kingdom at an astronomical pace that only God knows. You see, God's going before us to reach all of these people. And he's also leading us to be able to make decisions for the school and our families and what we're doing. I'm asking boldly for the Lord to go before me and keep my eyes pointed in that direction as well. And I can't wait to see what the new normal for New Covenant is and for us as parents are. So I close in prayer. We just try to think what it is of what we had, but even think more of what God has in store for us. Dear Lord, thank you so much for this time. Lord, we praise you. We praise you for this opportunity, Lord. This opportunity to not just mourn for what normal was, but to let that time pass, Lord, and to zero in on the glory that you have created during this time of quarantine, Lord, and the strength that you've given so many people, Lord, that we can see that there is a new normal coming ahead of us, Lord. It's a new normal that shows that we are following your footsteps even more than ever, God. We're staying less and less of the path that we've created for ourselves, and we're focusing true on the path that you've created for us. God, I can only ask that you continue to expand your kingdom with so much grace and strength and covering the world for those who love and believe you and expanding it to those who have not yet heard your message, Lord. Let them to be able to hear the glory and praise of how wonderful you are. Lord, for this group, for these families, for New Covenant, I ask that you continue, just like in James 1, Lord, we're asking for your help and your guidance, Lord. We're asking boldly for your grace to go before us in making these decisions. Please bless this time we have together, Lord Jesus, and bless the decisions that we have to make, because we only want them to be in your will and your grace. Thank you for the families here on this call, Lord. In Jesus' name I pray. Amen.
Amen. Thanks, Bay. Good words. Good words for sure. I think all of us in so many ways, including in this church world right now, are trying to figure out where all this is going and what it all looks like. And certainly seasons of unsettledness provide opportunities for adjustments and greater impact, without a doubt. And thanks for those thoughts. Just a reminder, virtually grateful that we do have the technology tools to do what we're able to do, just as we all are grateful for our churches having such tools. Grateful for the opportunity for us to share in this way. A reminder, if you are joining us via the stream and watching, the board has capacity to be in a chat. You're just simply catching the main speaker at the time, but grateful that you have joined us in this time. Want to go ahead and look through the agenda. One change that we need to make on the agenda: we need to make an adjustment to new business and add a number 4, and that would be employee background check process. So once we get to new business, just we have that fourth thing to add to that. So unless there's any discussion or questions about that, need a motion to approve that agenda.
Motion to approve the agenda by adding the item 4.
Okay. Jeff so moved. Jeff seconded there. Kelly in the chat. All in favor?
Aye.
Thumbs up. Aye. Okay. Any opposed? All right. Good deal. Minutes for our April 9th meeting. Anything that stood out or needed to be noted in the midst of that, the April 9th meeting? If not, we'll entertain a motion to approve those minutes from the April 9th meeting.
Motion to approve the minutes from the April 9th meeting.
I need a second.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. All right, so we will move into reports. As we did last time, we're going to go ahead and not only to have the submitted reports as we always get, but we're going to go ahead in this season and again have reports done orally as well. So we're going to start with Matt, and then we will be working through that process.
Thanks, Matt. Well, since last month, just still a lot of planning for next year that's still going on, but meeting with principals and teachers as we're winding up the school year. So just appreciate the continued collaboration that's been going on between home and teachers. And so that's been good. As we get closer to the end of the semester, a lot of the discussions have turned to the grading component, what that was going to look like. And that's different at different grade levels as you think about high school with high school credits, being as far as being worked through. So a lot of teacher discussion in regards to students and special circumstances. So everyone's been working really, really well together. And again, still a shout out to Brian and his help on the technology side of things. Kind of hard to, as Bay talked about the normal, I'm sitting there thinking, man, graduation is supposed to be tomorrow. For our seniors. And so also some things that have been going on where we could still try to celebrate for our seniors. And so several folks have been working on that. And so Don might share a little bit about what that's going to look like as far as this Saturday. In fact, I hope he'll mention that because we want to get the word out in terms of way to celebrate our seniors. Also looking at end of the year wrap up with teachers, end of the year materials being returned, students being able to get their things that are in the building. And so an email should be going out probably tomorrow afternoon to our school families, just kind of explaining that process. Of course, we're trying to make sure we're following guidelines, which now we can meet in groups of 25 as of this afternoon, from what I understand from our mayor, instead of 15. So that's a step in the right direction, but we want to just continue to follow the guidelines. And so for elementary, that's pretty much a drive-through where those items will be delivered. And then at Liberty and at the high school, we'll have a very controlled access as far as students bringing in things, picking up things, where we'll keep social distancing, but we'll have designated going into the building one place and out in another. And so I think that'll work well. And so we'll be doing that a week from Friday all day, but we'll send an email out tomorrow for that. So we've been doing some interviews. So we're, for hiring, I appreciate all those and our families that participated in our meetings that we did I think that was last week. And so we had a really good turnout. And so there's a lot of work that went into that. So that was really good. So we're, probably the biggest thing that I'm struggling with is ending the year not having everyone together in terms of our faculty. That's always a time of celebration. And so we're going to try to do that virtually, and we'll have some years of service awards to hand out to some of our faculty and staff. And we've got our Judy Hamilton Award that we'll hand out, and we'll still do all that, but it'll just be done virtually. So those are just a lot of things going on, just in a different way. So if anybody has any questions for my report, feel free to ask.
Okay. Anything? All right, and we'll move on to Marla's CFO report.
Hi, I do want to echo something that Bay said about in the devotion. I was listening to a online broadcast that we were involved in, and it was talking about, it ended with just really words that were inspiring about how this can be the finest time in Christian education, the biggest growth in Christian education we have ever seen. And rather than ending this meeting in a note of, there's a lot of things to work through and it can be discouraging, but just the excitement of thinking, just like the church numbers have increased, as we become creative and things change in our world, we may be able to reach a lot more people with Christian education who may not previously been able to, not just us, New Covenant Academy, but Christian schools in general. And so it was really exciting when they just ended that with a lot of enthusiasm, a little more enthusiasm than I have at the moment, but it was really a neat point. As far as the budget through the month of March, it's pretty much on target with what we had expected, considering we have some areas that we are going to actually, you might say, lose money on because of the program's not functioning. And then we have other areas where we may save money on. So it's a little early to tell where that's all going to end up, but it's pretty much the same as I had predicted last month as far as where the year will end. It was looking like we'd have we'll probably have an extra, maybe end up 40,000 just related to the expenses and income and everything that are directly effective of the COVID-19 situation. So that's probably the main issue on that. As far as what has been happening over the last month, it's been a lot. Last time we met, we had just received the loan information. Since that time, we've signed on the loan. We've continued to figure out how we receive the forgiveness, the payroll forgiveness. Those terms have not all been lined out yet as of the end of last week. I haven't looked this week. We have addressed all of the school families. As you know, we had 8 meetings last week. They went extremely well. I believe there were around 300 in attendance through them. And then we followed with the survey. The survey was extremely encouraging. It gave us a lot of information that was helpful. In particular, we had one of the numbers that was very encouraging was that They had about 340 respondents. We have about 450 families in the school. I recognize that maybe some families filled out too, and that's all right. We had about 60%, a little bit under 60% of the families that felt their attendance really was not going to be changed or compromised because of how COVID-19 had affected them financially. That was just a really good, solid number for those that were not struggling with a way to pay the tuition, and you know, it may have affected them, but they felt that everything would be okay moving forward. We had a number of families. We had about 140 recipients who took the survey that expressed a concern about meeting their tuition needs, and 93 of those families, once we told them about the possibility of tuition assistance, would that be something they'd want to apply for? 67 of them said yes, it is something they would be interested in. And that we're talking about there is the Warriors Care COVID-19 Scholarship Fund, above and beyond what the normal tuition assistance program would be. And 22 responded that no, they weren't interested in that, but that their children would still be attending, that they were real confident about that. And then there were really 0 out of that group of almost 100 people that said, no, our children most likely will not return. And so that was very positive. And the original question was whether or not having that scholarship program would affect their decisions. 50 families said no, but when you read through the comments of what they had with it, it was not that no, they wouldn't be attending, but it really didn't make a difference one way or another. A few of them were moving, but the majority of them really had plans to return, maybe had some concerns about finances, but there really wasn't a strong sense that said, no, we're just not going to be there. As a result, we also had a lot of comments. We had just under 100 comments, I believe, or just over. I should flip a page sooner. And yeah, we had 96 comments. Just, you know, pretty much every comment, vast majority, had something positive to say about their commitment to New Covenant Academy, the experiences that they've been having, really positive about the academic side of things, how quickly the transition happened, and they feel that they're cared about, and appreciate the thoughtfulness and concern about the finances, about their children's academics, education, etc. And there were comments. The largest number of comments were really concerned, and I don't think it would even be 10, but was specifically tied to whether or not we would start classes next year if there was virtual learning involved. And the questions ranged from, will we have to pay full tuition? How soon will we have to know? Are you going to make an are you going to make an adjustment? Or if we're going to have virtual, then I will probably choose a different option. And so, of course, that's a question that none of us really know the answer to at this time. We're obviously, as Mr. Searson said, making plans about what to do one way or the other. And then there were a number of questions that concerned, are we going to get a refund for part of this year? And it was not as many as the others. So I'd say maybe 6 to 8 direct questions on that. I have also had lots of phone conversations, which has been really a good experience. A lot of phone conversations and emails with families. And there have been, those 2 concerns come up, not in the majority of cases, but there is mention of both of those things, and that's understandable. And just a lot of good things, a lot of good comments. So I felt the survey was very, very beneficial to us in knowing where our parents stood financially to the best of our knowledge and to the best that they could tell us. We know we have a number of families who really don't know what the effects are going to be. One of the things I did then is we identified all of those who had filled out the survey, and also everyone who had already applied for tuition assistance, sent out emails to the 2 different kinds of groups of people that involve about 7 different combinations of what their needs may be, whether they just need tuition assistance for next year, or they're interested in the scholarship, or they needed forgiveness for last year, and where that all played. Sent emails and am asking everyone who had filled out a tuition assistance form to go in and update their 2020 information. So if there was a change of income, there are a number of questions that specifically apply to that. If you are listening or concerned, it would be after the first applicant puts their information in, it will ask you if you've been affected by COVID-19. And if you are, then there are questions that will relate to your 2020 income. And so those people have all been contacted by email. I've had conversations with several of them back. And then for anyone who wanted forgiveness or may not typically qualify for tuition assistance, but are interested in the scholarship for the 2021 school year, then they went ahead and they are to go ahead and fill out that tuition assistance form. We want to be as generous as we are able to. We also want to be as equitable as we are able to. So it's really hard to discern who should get funds and who shouldn't without getting a better picture of where our whole student body is at. And so just to emphasize, you may be a family who may not typically qualify for tuition assistance, but we will make exceptions to how we do this in order to get you a one-year scholarship to help you meet the cost of your 2021 tuition. Our goal is to have you back at New Covenant Academy. So we want our families back. We just want them to be a part of our experience, and we appreciate them. And the Finance Committee has worked hard on that. They will have a report later. But that's been a lot of what's been going on. A couple of other things. We updated the application for facts, so that included everything we needed for 2020. The other thing I wanted to bring about, which is outside of everything I've just mentioned, is our health insurance renewal. For a little refresher, last year our health insurance premiums, well, pretty much every year they go up. Last year they went up a lot, and we actually got a better bid from another company, and our new coverage goes into effect July 1st every year. And we thought we were going right down the path, and we thought we had health insurance with this new company, and when it came right down to it, they upped the price quite a bit. And so Sherry Hudson, who does the HR, did a phenomenal job of working through all of that. It was a little stressful time. This year, I think we're in a different situation, although we know we had a significant loss again this year as far as our loss ratio on insurance. It's your costs versus expenditures, our costs versus what our benefits were used. I should word it like that. We did end up with just under just around a 9% increase on our base plan. And our base plan is called the Silver Plan, and it has the high deductible and copay, and it's $5,500 deductible, and then a $6,500 out of pocket. And so the deductible went from $5,500 to $5,000. And then the maximum out of pocket changed to $6,500. There were also some health insurance, prescription benefit changes on that. I really can't give you all the details on that. And then we have the buy-up plan, which has a $4,500 deductible and, a $4,500 maximum out of pocket. And that increased to $5,500. And the benefits on that for prescription changed as well. We do not really have any options on this at all. We did get another quote from another company that might be in the ballpark, but it was the same company that changed on us once they actually got our enrollment in. So we're just not feeling it's necessary to go through all of that to make a decision earlier. The premium for the plan, the base plan is $505 a month, and that's increasing to $552. And the buy-up plan was $675, and that's increasing $82 to $757. Last year, New Covenant Academy paid 448 of the 504. And this year I did budget some extra resources to go toward that. And the increase is going to be about $47. And when I back into the budget, looking at where we're at for this year, as well as who I think may come onto the plan, I think we can go to like 470. So that would be a $22 increase in what New Covenant can pay to stay within budget. And then the remaining $25 would really go back onto the employee. So the employee premium would increase to about $90. So that is just all really brand new information. Didn't have it available last night yet. We've just got an email on that kind of ties that up a little bit more. So that's one of the things it is within the budget of next year. So I don't know if you need to make any decisions on that, if you later want to make a motion or talk about it in closed. But we really do need to move forward with that because we need to begin the renewal process. School ends a little bit earlier this year and we need to get on it. I do want to mention as well that we talked about Paycor last year and onboarding, and Kelly Sorsey and Sherry Hudson have been working very hard on that behind the scenes and making that all work. There's been a little bit of help from all the admin team members. We're just a little harder to pull in than those two. They have really dedicated a lot of time to it. We have had a large number of applicants. The process is just amazing, so much smoother, so much more efficient. You can see everyone who needs to can see the applicants. Kelly isn't being bogged down in running copies and emailing things to people and just all of that. It is just amazing. And also, it's really neat. And when they do an interview, there you can rate everybody, give it scale, and those who are doing the interview, like initially it may be a principal, maybe a secondary interview, would include a couple of the teachers or a lead teacher, and the evaluation is there to see. And even when we approve it, because it goes through an approval process, somebody recommends them for hire, it goes through a whole process. We had the opportunity to see that before we sign off on it and just get a little bit of an idea of who we're hiring and what's going on. So it's been very nice. And then as it moves on, the contract will be written, and that's a little bit more detail for later. But it's going to be seamless, and it's going to go on into the HR portion, into the payroll. It's going to be good. I know that, again, I'll mention Sherry. She has worked very diligently for about a year now. She started just over probably a year ago with the first portion, and has just taken it and really worked her way through. There's still a lot of things that need to be, I will use the word cleaned up in it, just the way there are so many requirements, how we figure Affordable Care Act hours. There's so many more Department of Labor reports. There's just so much more reporting from 5 years ago. Once the Affordable Care Act went into place, it just changed a lot in that department. So I appreciate her and what she's doing in that regard. And then we also, in the accounts payable department, are in the process of implementing payroll check protection program. And that is through Central Bank. And what that will do is we will send them a list in a certain format every time we write checks. And now when a check clears the bank, it has to go through the process of we having let them know ahead of time that we have issued that check. So if we don't give them the check, they will not clear it. And it really eliminates a lot of fraud. And so that's something we're in the midst of. We'll maybe have that completed about next week. So those are some of the things that are happening in our corner of the world. Thank you.
All right, just a few things there. Thanks, Marlis. I know there's a lot been going on here in this season. Thanks for all your work with all those processes and all those realities. If you've noticed, I've switched locations. I am at church and had people showing up around me, so I had to move very quickly. So anyway, if you've noticed, if you haven't noticed, never mind. Don is not here, so I don't think that Matt, unless you're aware of anything that needs to be added to what he has there. I know we've got some personnel stuff later on in closed session about some hires, but
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't know he wasn't going to be on there, but I just wanted to make sure that everyone knew we were going to be doing a senior parade this Saturday from 11 to 11:30. So we would just encourage everyone that we're going to have our seniors lined up by their cars, and we'll keep everyone a safe distance apart. But you will, if you can come from 11 to 11:30, it'll just take you a few minutes, but you'll come in the elementary entrance, and we will have you going up there by their cars and just be able to wave and honk at them and celebrate their accomplishments. And so again, that's Saturday from 11 to 11:30. So we'd encourage everyone to be there. Won't take long to drive through.
Okay. Michael said he's on the live side of the meeting, so everyone wave to Dawn at the live side of the meeting. Hey, Dawn. All right, Michael. Mr. Auer.
Yeah, I'll just piggyback on what Mr. Searson had said. The virtual learning for grades 5-8 go very well. I continue to meet with our intermediate team weekly. I meet with our junior high team daily for check-ins to see how things are going. They're continuing to share strategies that work. They're continuing to share prayer requests and student needs and such with families. They continue to contact families as needed just to make sure that everything's okay and assignments are getting turned in of that nature. Last day for assignments, any new assignments will be tomorrow, so there shouldn't be anything else going out. And then students will have next week to complete any assignments and get those turned in by the 14th. We've got our plan ready to go for next Friday for students to turn in their items and to pick up the stuff out of their locker. Junior high is going to go through the gym door and come out of gym door. Intermediate is going to come through their normal gym entrance and then exit through the main entrance to get their stuff. So we're very excited to have that part done. Our chapels are still going very well attended. Thanks to Brian for helping out with those. The chapels are just a little different. Intermediate does theirs live, where junior high does theirs through a stream. So Brian has been very helpful getting all that taken care of for us. The last two chapels for intermediate and junior high next week are going to be recognition chapels. So parents have been contacted, students have been contacted if the child is going to receive an academic award. Same way with the junior high, I contacted parents of anyone that's going to receive an academic award. So that will be virtual. We'll have the virtual presentation of that, and then we will get those to the students either when they pick up their items next Friday, or we will mail them sometime over the summer with those certificates. And that, looking at my list, Mr. Toll and I continue to meet weekly to talk about scheduling, talk about class placements, talk about students. Mr. Toll has been an outstanding help during this time, really contacting students. He spoke at chapel, I think, 3 times already because he just loves talking to the kids, and that's one way that he can interact and talk to them just a little bit. So he's been such a great help for that. Just a reminder, as probably been said before, Teacher Appreciation Week. I know all the teachers would love to get an email, a nice card, a text or something, just to let them know how much we appreciate them, because they have just been heroes during all of this time with what they are doing at the elementary, junior high, intermediate, and high school level. So that's what I've got here at Liberty.
Okay, any questions for Mr. Auer? All right, the venerable Mr. Tuck has now made it to the right side. So anything, Don, that you want to add?
Sure. Sorry about that. I'm technology challenged, and I didn't realize I had a different invitation, but I've been here all along just listening. Well, first of all, I've continued to try and monitor our progress as we've done the virtual learning, try to keep my finger on the pulse of our students, our parents, our faculty. I will say that I have been so impressed with how patient and cooperative that everyone has been during this whole process. Our teachers have just been amazing, and I couldn't ask for a better group of people to be working with on something that we certainly weren't prepared for. So kudos to them. We were able to take around senior baskets to our students, senior care baskets to our graduates, and that was a neat time for everybody. A lot of our teachers were able to get involved in that. We have filled our part-time science position, which you guys will be able to approve tonight. Also, our 912 counseling position has been filled. We're very close to a decision on our vocal music position. Hopefully by tomorrow or early next week, we'll have a decision on that. I've continued to send out weekly updates and devotions to our parents, our faculty, and our students every week, and I've really enjoyed doing that. However, keeping everybody informed on stuff has been quite a challenge because things are constantly changing, you know, with some things. I was able to attend the parent meeting on the 29th at 10 in the morning and 7 that evening also. Just gave a short presentation at the beginning of that. We continue to have a weekly faculty meeting every Wednesday morning, and that's real helpful because we can all kind of touch base on what's going on and any concerns we have with students that haven't been engaged. It's been pretty amazing that the biggest part of our students, almost all of our students, have been engaged during this time and have done well. We've had a few that have certainly struggled with this type of learning, but we have been really good to communicate with those parents and students to try to get them on board. We have an administrative meeting every Monday morning. We've continued to do that. Also, a principals meeting every Monday afternoon. We have determined our character awards for our seniors, and those plaques are, I have those. They're held in readiness, kind of like the baptistry at church, for the time that we do have graduation, so we can have those ready at that time. Also got those character awards for Michael for over at the junior high as well. As always, I appreciate the support that the board has given during this difficult time. It's been unwavering and has meant so much to my faculty. And I just can't thank you enough for that. I know Matt mentioned it, but I will again. Saturday morning from 11 to 11:30, we'll have kind of a drive-by graduation ceremony for our seniors. We'll have them all lined up on the parking lot. People will be able to drive by and wave, honk, whatever. And so we're looking forward to that on Saturday morning. I think it's going to be a crisp morning. The way they're talking, but it's at least not going to be rainy, I don't think. If you can depend on weathermen anyway. So we're looking forward to that. And any questions for me at all? All right, I will get my mic turned off because I hear the dog barking. So.
Yeah, everyone else is muted, so I think it was pretty safe to assume it was your dog. So. Sharon, Mrs. Pruitt, elementary stuff.
Yeah, it's going to kind of sound like a broken record, but the same thing, you know, continuing on with the virtual learning, it's going pretty smoothly. No complications there at all. Talked to the teachers about the grades, and really, I mean, out of the 200 and how many ever elementary students there are, there's only like maybe 3 or 4 that have really struggled to keep up. And so basically, the teachers have been working with them, but basically what it's going to boil down to is whatever they get turned in, that's what they're going to be graded on, and everything else will be excused. But like I said, there's you know, maybe 3 or 4 that have struggled. Everybody else has done a fabulous job. We've tried to do our chapel. The problem with our chapel is that our students' New Covenant or Google accounts are not active. So it doesn't work quite as smoothly as it does in the upper grades. But Lindsay's been so great to try to keep trying to do something for our elementary for chapel. So she's been working on that, and Brian's been working on that, and it's kind of been a work in progress. About the time we get it figured out, we'll be done with school. I'm continuing to do story times for each of the classes every week. Most of what has taken up my time this past month has been interviews for teachers. We got a plethora of applications. Kelly can verify that. Seemed like every day she was sending me 3 or 4 more applications to review. So I did 14 first interviews, which were just kind of basic questions. And then we had 7 that I had 5 of the teachers do second interviews with me virtually. We actually have 3 openings in elementary, but because of needing to reposition some teachers, we only had 1 position that we needed to hire from outside. So we have that recommendation for you in closed session. It was 100% unanimous. That was the one, she was the one we wanted to go to. So you'll get to hear more about her later. I also did interview for Art. Actually, this all happened yesterday. I interviewed her, checked on her references, lots of people. There's lots of connections. I fell in love with her, told Matt, I want her. She came highly, highly recommended. Kathy Kunis actually had her as a student at one point in time. So Kathy gave her stamp of approval on her too. So we offered the job to her. I offered the job to her last night. She accepted. So that was awesome. I think she's going to be amazing. She is very, very talented. Continuing to do new students, new families. We're closing down on some classes. Delina and I have been scratching our head and flipping through files and trying to fill the last spots for some of the classes that are going to be full. Working with the kindergarten teachers, we decided we wanted to do something to celebrate the kindergartners since we couldn't do our graduation as normal. So next Tuesday night, when we normally would be having our graduation ceremony, we're going to do a little virtual celebration. And my husband, I don't know if you can hear it or not, but he's working on the video right now. The music is coming up the stairs from the basement as he's working on the video of the pictures of all the kids throughout the year. And David and I are going to do some praying over the kids, and the teachers are going to comment on it. And we are going to have a commencement speaker, but I'm not going to ruin the surprise on that. So we are going to have a commencement speaker that the kids will love. So that's going to be a lot of fun. We're going to do that. Worked with Glenda and Donna and Matt today on teacher appreciation gifts, and we're going to take care of that tomorrow. I've got a little gift for each of the teachers. Hopping in on Zoom meetings, Google meetings with the kids as much as I can so I get to see them. Worked with the teachers on pickup procedures for the parents to come. Each of the teachers is going to try to be out there for a certain period of time so that if their kids want to see them, they can drive through during that period of time. And so they're going to be letting the parents know what their duty time will be, so they can come by at that time if they want to. And otherwise, it's just whenever they can make it. I did meet with Brian Hubbard today, who is our contact for our Title II money, which we get every year for professional development. And so we have to meet every year to say, yes, we want to participate in that. But he also informed me that he is meeting Monday on the CARE Act. There is additional monies that's going to be available to the schools through this CARE Act. And so he's meeting on Monday to find out what exactly that entails and how much, we might be able to get from that and what we can use it for and that sort of thing. And so as soon as he gets that meeting or he finds that out, then he's going to send me another invite for a Zoom meeting. And I think Matt and Brian are going to be in on that one to let us know what kind of money we've got and what we can do with it. So that'll be exciting to hear. From what he says, it's going to be money basically to use to help in pretty much the way he understands it's pretty much any way that we need to use it to enhance the learning, whether it's virtual or whatever. But we'll see how that works. Lindsay's been doing, y'all maybe have gotten emails, but Lindsay's going to do a virtual field day for the next week for the end of the year. And so every day she's going to have a field day challenge for the kids to do. So that'll be a lot of fun. She's had a lot of fun getting that together. So just lots of things going on. I kind of thought maybe this last month would kind of slow down, but it really hasn't. It's been pretty crazy, but good. It's a good crazy. So we're doing great.
Okay, any questions for Mrs. Pruitt? All right, next, Linda, development.
Oh, Lisa, did you have something?
Yeah, I just wanted to praise Coach Lessinger again, as you were talking about her. My kids received the sweetest notes from her, and they were tailored to each child. It wasn't like a form letter. And I can't imagine how long it took her to write each student in elementary, and included my intermediate child too. So I just thought that was very sweet of her. And they loved them. They are taped in their room. So this meant a lot.
Yeah, she did. She wrote a personal letter to every single elementary student. She's great. And she was paying all the postage herself until somebody ratted on her and told me about it. And I went, no, we'll pay for that. Just, let me show you how to use the postage machine.
It was very sweet, and it was very meaningful to the children too. So
yeah, she's a keeper for sure.
All right, fantastic. Glenda.
Good evening. I have, just like everybody else, been doing all kinds of random things. A lot of the things I've been working on have kind of already been mentioned, but we have been done several webinars. Like I did a webinar on marketing. I did a webinar on fundraising during the COVID-19 crisis. Trying to just really, improve and see what other people are doing and kind of get a feel for it. I also went to all the virtual meetings that we had just to support Marlis and them, and to kind of see our parents and, see how that was going on. I went to all of those. We continue to have prayer each week for men and women. And I don't know about the men as much, but the women's probably had 8 to 12 every week, and that's been really sweet. We have the mail that's been held up at the Campbell Street post office, and so I've been going to get the mail. I've made deposits, mailed out letters. Stevie's been working from home on the donations, and then I've been fulfilling the stuff in-house at the school. I've helped lots of different teachers. I have had the privilege of videoing the dissections of a starfish, a worm, a frog, a pig, and a cat, and that's been really fun. But I've just helped several teachers with just different things that they needed, just to be an extra pair of hands for them. I've helped on lots of different projects that we've had around the school, different ones like you talked about, the senior parade on Saturday. That's going to be fun. I've been meeting with some of the senior parents, helping them find some ways to celebrate the seniors. We've put them on Facebook and had each one of them spotlighted. We are going to try to put the senior athletes for the spring season on the LED sign. We highlighted some of the all district soccer players, and so we're doing everything we can to kind of honor the seniors and get them out and really help them enjoy this crazy time for them. I have continued to call the parents. I now have 20 parents left out of 467. I can't even say I did them all because Matt yesterday, and I was really trying to finish by today, but people like to talk, and so it took a little longer than I thought. But it has been a real honor for me to call and talk to all of them, at least 90% of them, and left messages for a few. And what's really been sweet is many of them call me back, even when I leave a message. They want to talk. They're so grateful that the school cares for them. I've heard such wonderful things about our teachers. I've got to pray with people because, we don't always know when they're hurting. They or just had surgery, or they, whatever. And so then I can bring those prayer requests to the prayer team or whatever. And I've prayed with them on the phone. I've also been in touch with all the staff and teachers and just reached out to them to see if they're doing okay. And then I also set up the Warriors Care COVID-19 Fund on the website, and working on about ready to launch a little bit of that. We're going to have 4. I've been working on 4 advertisement videos that are going to be should be done by tomorrow, and they're one for intermediate, one for middle school, one for elementary, one for high school, and they're kind of we're going to use them everywhere, especially now. They're kind of tailored to the COVID-19 since you can't be in our building. We also have a way to take off the COVID part and use them for advertising later, and so those should be. I've been working hard on those and with a gentleman, and we should have those ready to advertise for our school. So I'm pretty excited about those. I think those are I've gone to lots of virtual meetings and just really try to do anything I can to support everybody that is on our team. That's about it. Any questions?
Fantastic, Glenda. Anything for Glenda? Okay, thanks for all those phone calls. I know that Christy spoke with you, and I'm grateful for those interactions and those reaching outs that you did, and with that help. So well done. Brian.
Hey, well, good evening. Yeah, so I sent my board report late. If you don't have a chance to read it, I can recap that for you. So as we're working around the buildings now, I could not be happier that the full operations staff is back in the building now every day. So they'll be our custodial staff and technology, maintenance and all. So we're started back full-time this past Monday. And so we met and we began crafting our summer plans and our game plans on what that looks like and the different tasks we're undertaking. For the next 2 weeks, we're helping the teachers wind down their classrooms, and we've created some pallets for them to put their things on as we're moving things around and kind of coordinating what the summers look like with them, as some of those are tutoring and those that are coming and going. And so we've been working hand in hand with academics to make sure that we're supporting them over the next 2 weeks to make sure if we need to help with cleaning out lockers or facilitating, help with cleaning supplies or the car lines or whatever that looks like. We're working really hard to make sure that we're lifting and encouraging and supporting them over the next couple of weeks as we wind this down. And so we've been working really hard, but it's been fantastic, even just the last 3 or 4 days, to have everybody back together, because for so long there was just a person a day on a rotation. And so I couldn't be prouder to say that we're all back together and thoroughly enjoying that company for sure. So, during this time, it's a brotherhood. You get to see people. It's like when you travel with somebody, you really see the real them when they wake up in the morning and their hair goes a million different directions. That's what I feel like this brotherhood and sisterhood has become in the trenches here at the schools when nobody's there. Glenda's a little Swiss Army knife, if you didn't know it. She's got like all these things, these tools that pop out when you're not expecting it, and she can answer like any situation. Like, she does all these different things. So I've enjoyed serving with Glenda. I don't get to work with Larry Monster much, but he's been all over the school building, and we don't let him near the cleaning equipment. But I have enjoyed working with Larry Monster quite a bit. He pops up in some of the weirdest places. But I just enjoyed serving with everybody, even in the trench times and now as we're all back together and back in full swing. I'm enjoying seeing that process come full circle. So from an operations perspective, things are starting to move again. You'll be happy to know that the road project at Liberty is back in full swing. The city has reached out to us. They're going to be picking up the materials, the sewage and the waterwork materials, and dropping that off, stormwater materials. So they're going to be dropping that off at the Liberty Camp in the next couple of weeks. We've paid our permits. We've got approved plans. We're going to be setting up a meeting with APAC and the city, a pre-construction meeting with them. And so that road project is moving forward. We're doing some other work around Liberty, the fascia replacement there. Those materials have been ordered, and I think that job starts in the next week. On the front of the building there, we had some wind damage. Things like waxing of floors, all the things you can imagine that we do in the background over a summer. We're working on ordering those supplies now so that we can jumpstart on that as soon as next week is over and things start to slow down in the academic realm. We are working on the check-ins next week as students and families begin to check back in their technology items that they've checked out. And so Derek and I are working with teachers to make sure they've got that information in their hands so that they can help us on the check-in process. Also, the technology department is working on their plans for the summer. We've got quite a few things going on as we continue to build that stability and that infrastructure for next school year. And I know we're having to think outside the box on a lot of things, but it's kind of like if you've traveled a lot, it takes a long time from the time you hit the seat in the plane to you taxi on the runway, and then finally the plane takes off. And about the time you level out, it's like it's time to land the plane. And I feel like we've done all this hard work to get up to altitude, and we're doing a fantastic job. We're flying right now. The wings are balanced, we're flying, but now it's like, just land the plane. We've got a week left. And so everyone is just like, just land the plane. Let's just get through this. But I have been so impressed with the skill sets and the patience and the grace of people, both parents and students and teachers, and what we've been able to accommodate. And the chapels, albeit virtual, have been phenomenal. And it just looks different for so many different groups, but I've enjoyed attending and helping with some of those. I even got to speak at one as well. And it's just the camaraderie that we've seen come through all this. Even the face of frustration has just been fantastic. And I appreciate each one of you and the moral support and the encouragement and being able to burn your phone up with questions and get your professional opinions on things. And, operationally, we're in a very good place. And, like I said, we're moving forward on our projects, and whatever normal looks like, I feel like we're working towards it. And I'm looking forward to moving on. Any questions?
Okay. Well done, Brian. Well done with getting all that stuff. So many ways of making sure that support is needed to get done what's been done. So, Delana, admissions report.
Yes. Well, I just appreciate so much what Marla said towards the beginning of the meeting, something that she had heard about how this could be the finest time in Christian education. When she said that, I just felt so energized that this truly could be our finest hour. And the reason is that Christ is our firm foundation, and the kingdom is not shaken because of what's going on. And it just makes me feel really excited on the inside. Mm-hmm. I'm very pleased and proud about how quickly we switched. Even myself, the first time we said virtual interview, I just felt all shaky on the inside, like, oh, what will that look like? And it's been fine as it can be, just smooth and easy and fun, and worked very well. So I'm really pleased at as far as how things are going and the way we are handling things. The report that I put in, of course, the re-enrollment report, those numbers change every day. You all know that. But since I put in that report for the first, now this is the 7th, I've enrolled 9 more students. So, it's just the whole process of what's going on and the interviews and the offering of the enrollment. So our enrollments went up by 9. So it continues to change daily. We did get the applications from the counselor and one of the new teachers, I think, in intermediate. Last report, I said they were talking to me, and those applications have come in. So I'm pleased about that. The admissions office is quiet as far as calls. I think every day Glenda asks me one more time, have you had any calls? Have you had any calls? And it's quiet, which is unusual that really there's no calls. But other than that, there are emails coming in, and of course we're setting up the interviews and different things to work through those applications that have come in. I'm really looking forward. I've been talking with Linda about these videos that she's making, or that's being made, and I think those are going to be extremely helpful especially when we can't get people in our building. And not only that, but during the summer, our building doesn't show as well anyway because everything's torn apart. So now we've got these really nice videos that I can be sending to people, and contacting our inquiries from the past, and I'm going to use those. Those are going to be really, really great. So I'm looking forward to having those. I will mention on your enrollment report, of course, it's changed a little bit, but now 1st grade, 3rd grade, and 4th grade are officially closed. That may change, if someone withdraws, but those 2 sections of 1st grade are totally full, 2 sections of 3rd grade totally full, and the 3 sections of 4th grade are full and closed. And we have 10 students in the waiting pool that are ready most of those are ready to go. They're, and would like to have a space if the space opens up. So other than that, I don't know if I can add anything to what's written on the report. Do you have questions for me? Okay.
All right, looks good. Thanks as always, Delana. Appreciate you and the role that you carry out in helping people get connected with NCA for sure. So we don't have a fine arts report. Matt, is there anything specific that needs to be reported there? I don't
know of it. Just aside from just the choir position interviews that are going on right now.
Okay. All right. Coach Crane, athletic director report.
I just had
thank you. Oh,
hey,
no,
sorry, Eric. Matt, where did we end up on the Disney trip? Because I saw that was in the.
Yeah. So good question. So when they canceled, what's going on is, as you can imagine, the travel agencies are having to, not just our trip, but hundreds and hundreds of trips have been canceled. So what the parents, what was communicated by the travel agency, they're trying to break down the trip piece by piece, because that will maximize how much money families get back, but that takes a little bit of time. And so a letter went to the families basically explaining that it's gonna take a little bit of time for them to go through that process, just because of the sheer volume of cancellations that have taken place. And so they're going through that process now. And then I'm pretty sure that those probably will be going straight. I don't think anything will come back to us for us to have to redistribute. I think they'll be working straight with families. But we've gotten some calls, but the company's been pretty responsive as far as just saying, hey, everyone's just going to be patient, just because they're not just trying to refund ours, but everybody else's as well. So that's kind of what's going on. So they're working on it.
Okay. Thank you.
Yep. Good question.
Yeah. Thanks, Bay. Okay. Coach Crane.
Yeah. Thank you, Mr. Martin. Since the last time we spoke, we pretty much, we've been approved with the co-op that we put through. And then, so after the co-op that we have with the summit, we went ahead and registered for our athletics and our activities here at the school. At this time, we're working on a summer schedule. We have sent out an email, and the coaches are contacting the players. We felt like it's best to go ahead and get the information out there, but we really won't start until like the week of May 25th. And we just let the parents know and the kids know that if something happens, we'll just continue. We'll drop those dates off, but we wanted to make sure the families have all that information. And pretty much we've had it opened all summer long in case families take off at the very beginning, or if they come back, so they have time to get onto the practice fields or in the courts and stuff. Pretty much we're just keeping an eye on what the regulations and the rules that are coming across as to how many we can have in the basketball court or in the gyms and on the field, contact wise. And so we're just staying up to date with those types of things. But pretty much that's about it. We're just communicating with the teams, making sure that they know when our summer programs are starting and those types of things. So anybody else have any questions? That'd be it.
Eric, I just had a question. I know, so over maybe the next week or so, are you going to send out that summer schedule for the teams, or have all those teams been notified? And I got the original email. I remember that, we're working on the date. I just haven't seen any concrete dates. For example, every Tuesday morning at 9 is soccer practice. I don't know, Eric, what that might look like. But
so the way it's set up is we're trying to keep our, like for instance, the girls programs together. So the ones that are participating in volleyball and also basketball, that they go Monday, Wednesdays. And so volleyball is from 9 to 11, and then basketball's coming in at 11:30, given that 30-minute window, just to kind of make sure kids are out and kids can come in. And for the basketball, the boys basketball, they're doing a little bit different. Coach really wants to focus on weight training more this year, to kind of bulk up in the weight room. So he's going between the gym on, like, for instance, your Monday, Wednesdays, they're going a little later in the day, and then Tuesday, Thursdays, to help any families out that are that may need have something to go on a Monday or Wednesday, and the others Tuesday and Thursday can come in. I talked with Coach Moore as to our golf coach. He sent me some dates. Looks like every Tuesday that they're going to get together from 4 to 5 at either some golf course or at a driving range to work with the kids. So they're still putting their schedules together, but it's pretty much they're going to continue using TeamSnap to communicate the information. So pretty much the information that went out was, if you're interested in these sports or did not play, or you're new to the school, I gave them the contact information to contact the coach. The coach will add them to the roster for TeamSnap, and then they'll see the updated schedule for the whole summer. That's been posted and stuff.
Okay, thanks. I was just wondering with new students coming in, but in that, just check out TeamSnap for all that and everything. Okay.
Yeah, so Delana usually helps us out, reminds us that we have to click an extra button, those types of things. And that I think there's a certain point that they actually move everybody into next year, and I think it's maybe July 1st, but I could be wrong.
Okay.
But she usually updates us with that stuff.
Great, thanks.
Okay, anything else for Coach Crane? All right, so again, now that we've gone through those reports, fantastic to hear just what our team is doing. Certainly want to express our gratitude as a board for what has been done during this season. Lots of challenges, lots of time, lots of opportunities, but also lots of opportunities to shine in the way things have been done. So certainly grateful for that. All right, so we're going to move on to old business. We are going to start with Finance Committee report. Marlis mentioned a good portion of some of this earlier on. So I'm going to turn it over to Lance Wiley, the chair of our Finance Committee, for specifics.
Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. First of all, I want to thank everybody, all the people who have spent countless hours working on and evaluating all the different programs and options that NCA has with the current pandemic and the current economic environment we find ourselves in. A lot of crazy things going on. First, I'd like to thank Matt Searson and Marlis and the board members and the Finance Committee, Matt Martin, Todd Urak, Robert Hill, and Vicki Wisdom, and of course Kelly, obviously, for helping out. But really, the current pandemic and the economic situation that we have found ourselves in has provided NCA with a few challenges, obviously, but also a few unique opportunities. We fully understand that everyone associated with the NCA family has been impacted at least one way, if not multiple ways. So our focus as a Finance Committee is really, trying to do our best to keep the NCA family together. So with that, we're going to try to do a few things. The committee has come up with a plan or a recommendation to try and help as many families as we can, and at the same time, allow other families to assist those families that have had a financial impact. So first of all, first thing we will do, and Marlis mentioned part of this earlier, we will continue to have the tuition assistance program in the same capacity as you currently know it. Two, we are developing a scholarship fund, which you heard about earlier as well. The scholarship fund will allow a broader assistance to families that have been affected by the pandemic. And then three, we will rescind the tuition increase for all families that are enrolled for the upcoming 2020-2021 school year. We understand that some families have had to endure and are currently enduring financial hardships, while others have had very little impact because of the pandemic. So if you're wanting to apply for the normal tuition assistance program, please do so. If you're wanting to apply for the scholarship program, please do so. Excuse me. If you have the financial means to contribute to the scholarship fund, please let us know, because that would be very beneficial. Or if you know somebody that values Christian education that NCA provides that might want to donate to the scholarship fund, please get them in touch with us as well. We all know it takes a village, and as a village, we can help each other through these tough times. If you guys have any questions, feel free to reach out to Marlis or myself or any of the Finance Committee, preferably via email or over the phone. Thank you.
Okay, so the one thing that we really need to deal with in this point of the process is the recommendation of the tuition, rescinding that tuition increase for this next year. So the other pieces of this, I think, are not needed for board motion, but since we had approved that tuition increase, we would need to act on that piece this evening. So discussion on that point. Okay, any questions? Okay, then if no discussion, I'd entertain a motion to with the tuition issue.
Matt, I'll make a motion that we rescind the tuition increase for 2021.
Okay, so that's for this upcoming 2020-2021 school year.
Yes, sir.
Do I have a second?
I second the motion.
Okay, Bay, second. Okay, all in favor, aye or a thumbs up, please. Okay, Kelly, are you getting what you need?
Okay, so I can't see the people that don't have their photos up. So if I can hear some eyes.
Okay, let me just, who do you have for sure?
I have Bay, Vicky, Jeff, Matt, Dustin is in the chat. If you can say it in your chat.
Okay, you have Todd.
I don't see Todd.
Okay, Todd is a yes. Jeff. Okay, any opposed?
Is Kendra on board? I don't see Kendra.
I don't see Kendra either. Yes,
yes.
You just said yes, lost connection. Okay. All right. So
okay, that's everybody.
Okay, that will carry. Marlis will work through the details of communicating that all forward. Again, we're certainly grateful for that finance committee and just the effort to do what we can to keep the NCA family together in the midst of this season. And Marlis has spent a lot of time, obviously, in contact with families who are experiencing that need right now. Multiple opportunities that we have provided, and for people to indicate that. So certainly grateful for her work and for the committee's work in this process as well. Okay, end of year education report. Matt, anything that you need to add based on what's been said earlier?
Not really, but for wrapping up, I think it was brought up that no new work is being assigned after tomorrow. So that gives, obviously our seniors are done this Friday, but then for the rest of our students, they have next week to be getting maybe missing assignments and kind of getting caught up. And so that gives them that week for materials to be turned in and kind of work through. At the high school level, the decision was made, which is pretty common for other schools as well, that finals would not look like they normally would at the high school level. So some classes might have had last projects or maybe a last assignment, but nothing that was cumulative, just in lieu of everything that's been going on. So that would be something that was worked through. But no, I think just grading as grades are turned in, there'll be a lot of discussion by teachers, just kind of making sure those grades are accurate, and a lot of things are being taken into consideration as far as how those grades impact, especially as it relates to high school students in semester grades. Quarter grades do not go on a transcript, but semester grades do. So the counselors, and they'll be working through that. But I kind of just want to, I know Dr. Hauer mentioned about Mr. Toll and the great job he's doing, and all our counselors have just been doing such a great job of still providing services to our kids. Kimberly Petrie's been doing checkout meetings with seniors just to make sure they're sure of next steps, as they graduate. What does that mean for their transcripts and moving forward? So she's been meeting with them. She's been doing checkouts with our A+ students. And so just a lot of end of the year things that would be happening here are still happening. So I think it's important for our board and our families to know that those services are still going on. So we're just kind of getting to the end and wrapping things up. But other than that, I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thanks, Matt. Let me go back and mention something just for the good of those who can't see the chat that Glenda had mentioned, that people can go to our website to donate for the Warriors Care COVID-19 Scholarship Fund. So that is there. And I missed this as well. I forgot to make sure that this was we need to deal with the withdrawal deadline. Policy has that as June 1st. We need to, just for the processes that have to unfold with the TAP and the scholarship applications, this is part of what needs to happen as well, moving back the withdrawal date to June 15th. So that will also require a motion for us to do that. Or any discussion before that?
Yeah, my question is, just challenge us, is June 15 as far back as we can realistically move that while still planning for the fall semester, given the uncertainty that's still out there, or would another week or so benefit our families and still allow us enough time to plan the resources we need and get all the positions in place for the enrollment?
I can respond from where I'm at. It will take at least until June 15th. So that would be the quickest. I think setting it back further than that would be a decision that the board could make. The one thing that probably is the challenge is we won't know the total number of students who are going to withdraw, and which, like if we open another section, like Delana mentioned the 3 grades that are filled, that makes it harder. The further back we go with that, that's the negative. So the win, I would agree, moving it back is good for the parents. As far as the hiring decisions for the school, that makes it a challenge. So that's just what I can contribute.
I guess, how close are we? Or, I mean, what kind of, not seeing into the future necessarily, but what are the pros and cons of those sections and like probability?
Well, in those sections that Delana shows, I think there's a couple of them that just have 3 or 4 kids in them. If a family is going to withdraw, then she can, and we don't want that to happen, but in those cases, if they withdraw, she can readily move them in and you'll retain that family. On the flip side, if we don't make a decision, families won't probably make the decision until they really need to. And I can understand that because there's a lot of uncertainty out there. But unless we can build up that pool large enough and insure it, it's going to be hard for her to go ahead and offer position. We run the risk of losing new kids versus losing the kids that we have now. So it's a hard call. But it does make the admissions office challenging. But truthfully, when right now I have made contact with all the ones that I know are interested in doing tuition assistance, but a lot of them haven't done anything yet. I'm going to have calls start going out to all these families, if not tomorrow, next week. That whole process is going to take some time. So the reality of being later than June 15 would probably take a little pressure off, but I'm also getting a lot of parents who just want to know. So
right. And is this all elementary sections?
No. As far as classrooms being filled, yes. I think that was first, third, and fourth, something like that. High school really isn't going to make a difference. 5 through 6 could, but 7 and 8, I don't think will either.
Okay, and then so that would impact our pending hiring. I know Ms. Pruitt said there was some sort of shuffling of the students, but if those open, we would need to fill with a new faculty position. Okay.
All right. Well, I mean, I'll defer to the wisdom of the administration team there on how far we can go, but I would imagine from the families that any additional time to weigh that decision would be appreciated.
Jeff, I'm with you. I don't know that. I mean, yes, Marlis. I mean, your team's got a lot going on, and so moving that to July 1, or even another week, as Jeff recommended, may be a better idea. Just to get, I fully appreciate that families want to know, absolutely, but I think the overall risk of those that are full or in that holding pattern, right, is a lot smaller than the mass of the school, right?
Yes, fair statement.
I mean, those that are waiting in those full 3 sections and the people that are in the holding behind that compared to the whole everybody.
Yep.
Yes, and I guess I'm also referring to, I get a lot of our current families that want to know when we're just going to know any of these decisions. So they just kind of want to know as well when they have to make that deadline. I don't know if they'd be happier if it's later. I'm sure they probably would, but they just want to know when they're going to get their award. They want to know all those things. So, and that's just going to be a time problem. So I don't know, Matt, Delana, I don't know if you have any comment on any of that, I guess.
I think from the high school, in terms of from a hiring standpoint, like you said earlier, it's not going to impact high school in terms of what our needs are and what we're hiring for. And I even think with the 5 and 6, we're making some adjustments there that I think we find 7, 8, 2. So, I mean, it's, depending on what happens with elementary, I mean, I don't think we're overextended by any means. The end of July is a little scary, but I don't know if you could kind of compromise between the 15th and July 1.
Sorry, did I say end of July? I meant end of June, so July 1. So it would be June 29.
Yeah, that's what I meant. Sorry, yeah.
Okay. I didn't think, no, not the end of July.
Let me ask this question. Would it be, I mean, I know it'd be helpful to set that date, but because of some of the pieces that are moving, can we at least move it back to June 15th at this point, knowing that we have a June 4th meeting, where at that point we will have a lot more clarity exactly where we are to know if we can do the 15th or move it back. That still gives everyone 11 days before the 15th deadline, but it doesn't cause us to run into this, from a month and a half out, we're trying to predict where that would be.
Okay.
I'm asking. I don't know on a logistical end for admin if it's just easier to set that date and go, and if we're comfortable with setting it back, I don't have a problem with that. I just wonder.
So I think I think we backed up a little bit, and that we need a motion to. That was your first point, right? We need to make a motion to move that withdrawal date.
Yeah.
From 4th, and so if we're going to make a motion to move that, then it would make sense to pick a date, if it's to hold us accountable and to hold parents accountable for if not June 4th and June 15th. That if we were to table that, I feel like there'd be a little bit of risk or feedback. That's just.
I don't think we can table because our next meeting is after the deadline would have passed.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't suggest tabling. I would suggest doing it. Go ahead, Dustin. Sorry.
Yeah, I would say my opinion would be pick a date a little bit later, and I'm happy to make that motion, but I don't, and then we can vote on it.
Matt, what would be in your mind kind of a comfort level in that season for that hiring end of things?
Well, at first, did you say you were going to move the June 5th? And is that what you thought? Well, we were saying first, and then if we got to the June, and then thought maybe we could push it a little bit further back, right?
Yeah, but I think it's better if we can just pick a date. I think is kind of as the conversation is flowing.
I want Marlos to take on it too. I don't know, June 20. I'd be curious what Marlos's thought. I mean, I think from my standpoint, I think it's more about by that time would we have the things that that families, the information that families need in terms of what kind of assistance might be available. What the board has decided between now and then in terms of walking through the questions about virtual learning. Of course, our plan is to start in school, but we have to take that consideration. So in terms of just the deadline, I think mainly I've been looking at it in terms of the time that Marlis needs to get information from families to process all of that, and for a family to have the information financially to make that commitment. And by June 15th, I would hope we would have that, but I would be favor moving it back, just if for nothing, from either way I look at it, if Marlis felt like her office needed a little bit more time to do that. I don't know what's realistic. Marlis, what do you think? Is the 15th, even pushing it back, does that help you just
Yes,
on?
15th helps pushing it back, most definitely. And that way, I do think if we put it the 15th and we just say that's the tentative date now, and every time I have talked with somebody, I have told them that we will inform them, they will know ahead of time. It's just the process that we go through. If in fact we could have it done by the 15th, I would say on the June board meeting, we could just extend that another 15 days. I kind of like numbers like the 15th or the 30th because they're just easier to remember than a Saturday or a Wednesday or something like that. So I'm fine with the 15th. I think it might, I don't know, sometimes, I don't know. I'm fine with it. If you want to do the 30th, I'm fine with that too. But I think the 15th, hopefully we will have everything lined out. But it's probable, it's likely we'll have to move it again. But I don't think that would cause people to be upset necessarily if that date gets moved back, as long as we give them plenty of notice. And I really have no idea how long things will take. Maybe it needs to be August. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
15th is probably fine.
Okay, let's go with the 15th. I move we delay the withdrawal date deadline from June 1st to June 15th.
I second the motion.
Okay, got a motion. All in favor, aye or thumbs up?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Any opposed? A no or a thumbs down, please. Okay, do you have what you need, Kelly? Okay. All right. We've dealt with the end of year education. On to the board nominating committee. This time of year is when we typically are in the middle of the process of interviews for potential board members. Obviously, like everything else, has been impacted during the season. Lisa, I know you sent an email out. If you just want to kind of capture where things are right now as the chair of that committee, that would be great.
Sure. Thank you. We're recommending that we postpone adding to the board this year and do it in the spring of, I guess it'd be 2021, just due to the new normal, I guess you would say, that we're in. It would be difficult to do interviews. It's difficult to get everybody together. And there's just more, would you say, higher priorities right now going on. And we also don't really need to add to the board at this point. So our recommendation is to wait till next year and just let those who have been nominated know that we're going to hold their names to next year.
So Lisa, they're nominated, and you guys thought through them? What do you have going on?
Those that know that they were nominated, we have let them know that we are in the process of making a decision, and we'll get back to them of what we're going to do. Yeah.
And can you clarify what the numbers were, Lisa? As a recommendation, do you remember?
Yeah, there was 2 that knew they were nominated, and there was 3 that didn't know they were nominated. So 5 total.
Okay, any questions, discussion?
And can you refresh me on we don't have any board members coming off of term this year, but have how many expiring in the 2021 year?
So just 2 that go off next year, me and Kendra?
Yes.
And we must replace at least one of them, right? To keep our minimum?
Yes.
Okay.
Minimum 9, yes.
Okay.
Are you all okay with that? Do you have any other questions, I guess, would be my question.
Okay, let's go ahead and do a motion just to be safe on that, just because it typically is part of that. So someone could make a motion to postpone any board nominating processes until next year.
So moved.
Okay, Todd. All right, Kendra's second, or she's so moved, so we'll count that as a second. All in favor, just so we have that on there. That'd be good. Okay. Alrighty, new business. We have a few policy reviews that need to happen. 2 of them were in the packet, and these 2 specifically, Matt and Marlis, can you remind me?
Yeah, these are pretty simple on the conduct. There was just some addition of I think that misuse of prescription drugs, which just was added in the personal lifestyle requirements. Transgender is something that was also added in the lifestyle. So, I mean, that was just 2 small things. And then on the benefits, really, it was with the wording before had read full-time, as far as NCA provides the opportunity for full-time employees to contribute some of their salary to a 403B, and it's all employees. So those were just 2 minor changes, and so we were just those could go ahead and be approved, but those were very small changes for those 2.
All right, any questions on those 2 potential policy changes? Okay, I'm assuming, Kelly, we could do a single motion to take care of both of those 2, so if someone would make that motion.
Motion to approve both of those policy changes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, all in favor? Okay. Alrighty, and then number 3.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Yeah.
Yep, I was just saying on that, this is just more of a first read, and what we did is we tweaked our teacher job description and just kind of added, and so everything that's been put in there and reformatted is, I think it's a good job description. I appreciate the work that Kelly's also put in on that. And so the guidance counselor, basically what we need to do is the guidance counselor, we're just wanting to make it consistent in terms of its formatting to reflect a lot of the same format that the teacher one has, that the counselor one, the secondary counselor has. And so it's just trying to make those flow so they'll look similar. I know Vicki did a lot of work, I believe, on that counselor one. So it's more or less keeping that intact, but just maybe changing some of the headings so it reflects a lot of the same things that are in the teacher one. So maybe just some of the changes are, instead of it in the secondary counselor, instead of some of those expectations as it relates to professional, personal, instead of it reading teacher, it might say counselor or faculty member. And so that's just some tweaking. So nothing has to be approved, but it's just more of a first read, just to kind of see the changes that we're making. But in the spirit and the nothing major, but we do want them to kind of flow and have a similar format in terms of the headings. So that's really what's going on. But that's just a first read for tonight.
Okay, and that was attached to the board packet today, is that right, Kelly?
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So that is available, and we will be coming back to that one. So for a second read next month as we get to that. So okay, any questions on that? Okay, then the number 4 that we added, the employee background check processes. Matt, is that you to start with?
That'd probably be Kelly.
I'll go
Okay.
ahead and step in here. So as I always get this, I always laugh at the title that Missouri Highway Patrol gives me. The local agency school security officer is what my official title is, to manage background checks. I always think that's pretty funny. But I'm gonna show you something real quick. I'll just share with you my screen. And so basically what the system is, it's called RAP back, which means record of arrest and prosecutions back. So this is normal mode of operations for public schools, but the program has been made available to private schools now. And so what the difference is, in terms of process, nothing really changes, but the benefit of signing up for this RAP back program, what it means is the program connects school district ID with the employee fingerprint data, and it's live. So if an employee gets arrested or gets a DWI, when they get fingerprinted and their arrest is processed, it automatically connects their information with the school, and we will automatically get a report within a day to a week of that arrest. And right now, the way we have it set up is we have only our new employees will get background checks. And then we don't have a policy that asks for them to get another background check. So we technically, unless we find out through the grapevine or the employee tells us something happened, we have a lot of trust in our employees, and we have great people. I doubt that anything will happen, but you just hear about those little things. And so I truly believe this is a really great opportunity and program to really be able to switch into. It doesn't change the process of what we do. It doesn't change the price, but what we would need to do to become a part of it is we would need to apply for it. It would change some of the processes and the way we do things, but in a negligible way. The things about employees being in the system is they will be in the FBI database in perpetuity. So that means forever. And as a result of that, the Missouri Highway Patrol has privacy acts and laws to protect them if, different reports. For example, if we have fingerprints on someone and now down the road they're no longer our employee, if I get that report and open it, then I could be held liable for that. So we only open and look at records that we have an interest in. And what we're recommending is that all employees get into the system and get another background check done. It'll cost about $2,000 to $2,500 for everybody to get it done, because the problem is, even if we have an employee yesterday get it, since we're not in the program, if it wouldn't give us a report on them because they wouldn't be in that program. Does that make sense? So what I'm recommending is that we look at starting this program and over the summer, and whether we choose to do just the teachers in waves or whatever, if we want to save on the money. And the way that it works on the other end is that we buy chunks of these. They're $45 each, and then we'll have like a whole fund that we'll just pay into, almost like a prepaid credit account or prepaid credit fund. And then the employee will get issued a coupon ID. So they will just go take that coupon, get their fingerprints, and then they don't have, like right now, they have to pay for it up front with a credit card, and then we reimburse them. So we won't have to deal with that. And it just makes things a little cleaner as well. Any questions?
Kelly, will we need to update a employment policy or contract to require participation in this?
Yes, absolutely. And tonight is just, I just wanted to give you some background and information on it. And there will be one single policy that especially we will have to update that has to do with our background processes and how we do our personnel things. But, so yes, that is necessary.
Yeah, and I understand on that from an onboarding perspective, but I guess I'm not quite sure how we would handle the situation for a current employee, faculty, or whatever, whoever it's going to apply to, that declines to participate. Would that be grounds of termination, or would that be what the new policy or contract would need to entail?
That would be a discussion for the administrators to determine.
Okay. But as of now, there's nothing in a policy or a contract that would require them to. So it wouldn't really be, or would it be until we issue contracts next year? Because I believe we've already issued them for this year, or still pending issue?
Yeah, right now they are required to do a background check, but not this one.
Every year?
No. They are required when they get hired.
Right.
You are correct. You're not required to do one every.
And I understand the hiring process. I think it's clean cut there, but so this really couldn't go into, or could it go into effect prior to issuing the contracts for next year? Or could it not really be enforced if needed until issuing the contracts next year in all likelihood?
I would say we can ask the attorney that. There are a lot, you'd have to read the wording of the contract, even though it doesn't specifically address that. There can be expectations. And the other thing you could do was voluntarily implement it for right now. And then people could get it done and have it done. I don't think most people would have any problems. I think you are correct in that unless our current contract says we can make that kind of a change, we can't do it. But
right. That's just my concern. If should somebody say no, that we know how we're ahead of time, how we're going to handle that.
It's a very good point.
Okay.
I guess what I really need to know is, do you all think that's a good idea? I don't need a motion, but we do need some direction on whether or not you want to move forward with that kind of program, or if you want to just stay doing it the way we do it. And if we stay doing it the way we do it, do we implement another policy that says every 5 years you have to have a background check? Or I don't know. That's the choices.
So I guess the other, so this is a notification of arrest, but not conviction, correct?
It could be both.
So I guess the legal side of it, I'd want to ask someone of, what the ramifications for making some kind of decision based upon arrest would be without, a guilty or a conviction. I think that gets us in a little bit of a situation there.
Our policy would address that. It probably would be something like maybe the person would pending probation until you could hear more about the situation. I don't really know.
Yeah.
And I also think it matters what the particular arrest is on. So maybe it's a ticket a bunch of tickets that they haven't paid versus an immoral act. I don't. It's difficult.
Yeah.
Kelly,
the current background check is going to catch the conviction, right? I mean, ultimately, any prior convictions, those types of things.
The first background.
Yeah.
I keep in mind that we have 14, 20 years that we haven't had a background check.
Yeah. So, I'd say regular background checks. My thoughts would be that we should probably implement some kind of a mechanism for doing regular background checks. But I don't know if the real time I guess I'd want to weigh out and understand the real-time benefits if that's something that from an administrative perspective you'd find beneficial.
I think the big thing would be that right now, there are people that have never had one or have had one 10 years ago or 5 years ago, and they're never repeated. So considering we're working with children, I think it totally minimizes the risk that we have as employers to something that may have happened that a person may not volunteer to us. So the benefits of it are very strong, and it is something that public school system uses. And I just think it protects us. Granted, I hear what you're saying, so I'm not arguing that point, and I think we get legal clarification on things, but that at least gives us some direction. I think the feedback is very helpful. That gives us some direction of what we can do, what we can run by our attorney, and kind of work through some of that. And it may be that we implement it, but it may be for next school year, but then we're ready for it when that time comes. So I think we'll come back with more information next month, unless you don't want us to pursue it.
Okay, Vicki.
I was just going to say the other thing that I think we need to take into consideration is as NCA continues to grow and the larger our employee base gets, for years we've had this kind of family feel and we want to keep that. But the reality is this program does put into place some immediate protections for us. So I would be in favor of us going ahead, to looking into this as our next step. I think what we've had has worked, but I think we need to move to a different direction. So, you answered one of my questions that I was getting ready to ask. So I don't need to ask the other one, but that was the one thing I wanted to say is the bigger we get, the more we need something like this, I think, in place in case something does happen, and we would get that immediate information.
Okay, so you don't need a motion, but I'm hearing Matt and Marla's thumbs up, and the general trajectory is finding out more information in this direction would certainly be helpful. So, okay, all right, good to pursue that then. That will wrap up our open session portion. Thanks to those who have joined us. Reminder to board, there's a closed session link that's available separately in your email. So make sure that you log on to that closed session link, and we will join back in there in about 5 minutes. Okay. Thanks all.